Vimal, first of all, congratulations. We're here to discuss your new long-term deal with the club. How does it feel to have signed a new contract?
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm just looking forward to committing to the club and hopefully seeing it as a long-term thing for me, and it should be, fingers crossed, it should all end up well. That's the plan, obviously.
Yeah, you've been here a long time now. It doesn't feel like it, but you have. You've been here since a young boy, and you've sort of developed and still young in your career, but you've come on so far, haven't you, during your time with the Reds?
Yeah, it doesn't feel long ago since I joined. I've obviously come a long way, and that's obviously through the staff and players around me and the atmosphere. Obviously wouldn't be here without the opportunities I've been given through old gaffers like Neil Collins, and obviously the new gaffer who's continued to put his faith in me, if not put more faith in me, to give me more opportunities. Obviously the one that stands out for me is the Man United game. That was obviously a big thing for me, and I wouldn't have got that opportunity if it weren't for him. So fingers crossed there's just more opportunities like that to come in the future.
We'll talk about your highlights with the club in the interview, but just to sort of start from the beginning, you joined the academy, of course, the under-18 setup. Incredibly successful team that won the PDL title and the playoffs. What was it like playing in that team at that age? I imagine it was a lot of fun playing with players your age and winning most weeks.
Yeah, look back on it and you realise how good that team gelled, and almost the team chemistry and how well we all got on. It's obviously good to look back on their memories, and obviously not all of the lads are still here, so it's also me looking at it and being grateful and making sure that I realise how far I have come. But looking back on it, it's proud, because we've obviously got a picture up in the canteen of it, because obviously we're the only team to win the PDL, and then obviously to go on to win the playoffs as well and get the most points in the history of that league is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been a meteoric rise as well, hasn't it? Because not long after that 18 success, you were involved in the first team setup, first of all, just training with the senior team and then sort of slowly integrating into squads and into the 11. But just tell us about that first time you trained with the senior team. What was that like?
Yeah, so I remember it was during almost pre-season for the 21s, just breaking into the season with the first team, and there was a 21s game on the Tuesday. I was still a scholar, and I came on the pitch at half time, and the first thing I did, because Nicky Eden still talks about it to this day, he goes, first thing I did was go and nail someone, and the gaffer immediately liked that. So the next day I get a call at about 7 o'clock from my house parent. He goes, "I trained with the first team today." So everything obviously started rushing through my head. So obviously that was a good experience, and then trained with the first team. I done all right, and then not long after that, I think it must have been a week or so, I made my debut in the Carabao Cup against Tranmere. So yeah, that was all. It all happened really quick, but it was obviously all good experience and part of the learning curve.
Yeah, I was just going to mention your debut as well. Shortly followed that. How did you feel in that environment? Did it come naturally, or did you have to work to sort of rise to the physicality and just been in that environment?
Yeah, my debut was it was a bit sweet, obviously, because we lost on pens. We'd done so well to score in the last minute. I think it was Aidan Marsh, and then we ended up losing on pens, which wasn't obviously great. That was obviously completely different to what I'd experienced in terms of academy football. It was just a lot quicker. Everything just moved quicker. It's almost hard to process what was going on. But during that game, I thought I held my own and just kept it simple, really, that game. But obviously training with the first team as well was big for me. Like, I've learned a lot, especially through Conor Horahan recently as well, in terms of doing extras and training with him. Like, he's obviously given me a lot of experience and guidance with all the games he's played and whatnot. So breaking into it was, I'd probably say, a bit difficult, but I'm still easing my way in and trying to make sure I can try break into the first team more.
You mentioned Conor there, obviously a new addition to the coaching staff this summer, but in the whole time you've been around the first team setup, how important has the advice been passed down to you? How crucial was that in your development? Because there are a few senior lads now and coaches, as you've mentioned. How vital was that for somebody at your age to hear that kind of advice?
Yeah, obviously I've had loads of coaches obviously give me advice and whatnot. Obviously a lot of them have played men's football and played a lot of games at high levels. Obviously, Nick Eden's played in the Premier League, so is Conor Horan. So obviously, listening to them, I take different things from both of them, because obviously Nick Eden broke through a while before me, and he gives me different advice in terms of how I should stay with my own game and not try branch out too much and start focusing on things that isn't my game. So he obviously tells me to keep on in games, keep on going into tackles and working hard and running about. That's the main thing he tries to give me. And obviously Conor Horan's more wants me to be better with the ball, stay ahead of the game, make sure I'm checking my shoulders and whatnot. So it's obviously different advice that I'm getting from everyone, but I'm just trying to take it all in. So
you're training up with the first team, you've made your senior debut, and then you get the call or the meeting that says, Vimal, you're going to be starting at Old Trafford in front of 70,000. What was that like? What was going through your head? How did you process all that?
Yeah, I just remembered it was the Monday when we found out, and it puts the starting team down. I just looked at my name. I almost couldn't believe it, and I've gone and sat down on the sofa in the change room, and I've sat next to Fab, and I was like, "Why are you so happy as well?" I thought I was the only one starting. Then he went, "I'm starting as well." I was shocked as well, because I obviously only looked at my name. So it was cool to realise that both of us were starting, and that was such a big day for us, and especially to share it with him, who I've come through with as well since the academy. It was a good experience.
Is it just reward? And does it feel sweeter when you think back to the tough times, when you've faced rejection and when you've had to, stay late after school for training and get up early to go to games, and you've made a lot of sacrifice in your life? Do moments like that almost justify it when you sat in the change room at Old Trafford and you're looking around and you're about to walk out?
Yeah.
Does that come back to you?
Yeah, because obviously, like my parents have been through a lot with me. I always mention it, like the sacrifices they had to make, especially mum and dad, in terms of helping me get to training and whatnot. A lot of days throughout the week. When I was at Liverpool, it was obviously difficult for them in terms of having to work and then take me to training after. It was quite a long way to drive and stuff. So obviously all of that I've got to keep thinking about and realise how far I've come and why those sacrifices were made. And I think like the main thing for me that I still look back on and why it was all worth it. And obviously I've still got a long way to go, but when I was looking out at the crowd walking out the tunnel to Old Trafford, that was a big day and big thing for me. So that moment especially was like what I've been working towards, and hopefully I can get more moments like that.
That's it as well, isn't it? Because people see you walking out of a tunnel, whether it's here at Oakwell or at Old Trafford, and think, you're a professional footballer, you're a young guy, you've got it really good. But then you think back to the sacrifices you've made, and it's not just about you, is it? Days like today are for your family and everyone who supported you in your career.
Yeah, obviously.
Signing the new deal.
Yeah. It's obviously not just me who's put the hard work in for me to get here. It's a lot of people that have helped me throughout the journey, and whether that's my parents or coaches or even the staff in and around the building, they've all helped me in one way or another to help me get to the moment of me signing this deal. And hopefully there's more memories and more exciting things to come with that new deal as well.
And throughout your career, you stayed true to yourself, and part of that is your heritage, which we've talked about before. And when you made your debut, it wasn't just your senior debut, you became the first Tamil heritage player to play in the English professional game. And with that came a lot of attention and media and interest from not just in the UK and abroad. How is that now? You've had a little bit more time to digest it, and after the Man United game, of course, there's a lot more sort of attention. How has that been now? You've been able to sort of reflect and digest on that, how important that element of that is for you?
Yeah, once the United game happened, maybe the day and the first week or two after, I didn't really digest it. I just almost thought of it as another game, which is pretty mad to think. But obviously looking back at it now, it was a pretty crazy experience. Like looking back, and obviously there's not much that can reflect it or show how good it was. Nothing can compare, if that makes sense, especially to what I've experienced since. So looking back at it, it's all pretty mad. But in terms of the attention, I'm just taking it stride by stride. I'm obviously grateful for the support, but obviously the football is the main thing. So I've just got to stay focused on that.
Just gives an idea, like you said, focus on the football, of course, but it gives an idea in the weeks following the Man United game what your phone was looking like in terms of messages of support from the Tamil community, because we saw a lot of it. Copper 90, of course, as well, mentioned you in a post. Just what was that like? Because you're a young guy and it's all very new.
Yeah, I was getting a lot of messages from people that I went to school with and stuff like that. It was obviously my Instagram, it blew up a little bit, so I was kind of just looking at it every now and then, and I just see Instagram notifications. So I ended up just putting it to the side for a bit. And yeah, to be fair, I didn't really take too much notice into that. I was more, because I was in and around my mates and my family, so I was more just talking to them about it. But obviously getting messages from people I went to school with and stuff like that was a good feeling.
And now then, looking forward, you committed your long-term future at Oakwell. What are you hoping to achieve with the Reds? You've been here a little while now. You get a sense of what the club's about in terms of ethics and how it operates. What do you want to achieve with Barnsley?
Well, obviously the main objective is to get back to the high standards the club's got, and definitely the fans have got. And there's so much work that goes on behind the scenes in terms of trying to make that happen, and obviously all the players and the staff are trying to do their best, and fingers crossed it will happen. Whether that's this season if we get promoted, or whether that's next season, if we manage to get to Championship, stay there and maintain that level. So that's the main thing. And obviously, in terms of me being the community champion in terms of equality and diversity, I need to make sure, in terms of my responsibility now, that we improve that. And obviously see a couple of brown people and people with ethnic minorities that in and around the building. But obviously, if we can improve that number, then it'll be better, and that comes down to my responsibility as well.
Very well said, Vimal. Once again, congratulations on the new deal, and I'm sure we'll see you out in action very soon.
Thank you.